Theory crafting is difficult. Genshin theory crafting circles such as KQM, WFP, JSM and various mains channels such as Navia and Noelle mains work tirelessly to collect useful information for writing guides, giving gameplay advice, and provide recommendations. A lot of this is currently done in Excel or Google Sheets, but such work is tedious, time-consuming, and prone to errors. A simple copy-paste mistake can ruin an entire DPS calculation, and any mistakes will be very quickly pointed out in Reddit and massively downvoted. Well, me and my fellow theory crafters have been talking to the team who built the Genshin Optimizer, in search for a solution that will move us beyond sheets. We discussed many features we would like to have, and their developer team was happy to collaborate with the theory crafting community of Genshin Impact. Today we will review one of their features under development, the substat solver. This feature is not yet available on their live website, but I was given early access to it. I am very excited about this substat solver, as it has the potential to greatly simplify my workflow by doing all the damage calculations for us, so we can, as theory crafters, focus on the important stuff such as ranking weapons, artifact sets, and constellations. The test case for today's video will be Genshin's most recently released Geo DPS, Navia, who is beauty and is grace, but will shoot you in the face. We will optimize Navia in a Taser Mop team, by maximizing the damage she deals from using her skill 3 times in a 25 seconds rotation. Then we will look at how constellations improve Navia's performance, and all this can be done in a quick video. First, let's set all the buffs correctly. We'll briefly look at our workflow so that everyone can follow the process. After that, it's time to get to work. Navia in this team benefits from Geo Resonance. She also receives buffs from Furina's Fanfare Burst, but the exact amount of fanfare is different for each one of her 3 gunbrellas. Happily, we've already done the back-end calculations for this. So it's easy for us to build the multi-optimization config in Genshin Optimizer. Unfortunately, at this moment the website does not seem to support multi-optimization settings for custom abilities such as Navia's Gunbrella Crystal Shrapnel stacks. We can get around this by setting the right damage percent ourselves. In the future I believe the Genshin Optimizer development team will expand this feature so that we can set the stacks directly. Right now we will set the multi-optimization for 3 skills, and just set the right fanfare values and shrapnel buffs. We will use our own sheet as the guide. Now we will give Navia her signature weapon, the axe named Verdict. It is worth mentioning that Navia has many cheaper options, such as Serpent Spine, which is very competitive versus her signature weapon. But we are not poverty C and Taylor Swift deserves only the best from us. Verdict it is. Navia has many artifact sets as well, but again we will use her signature set, the Nighttime Whispers in the Echoing Woods. Her sands will be attack percent, her goblet also attack percent, and her circlet will be crit damage percent. Now we're ready to do the optimization, and see how smooth it is. First let's press this button over here that says KQMS. This is a widely accepted standard for theory crafting in the Genshin community, and provides a baseline power of substats for characters. Secondly, I will set Navia's energy recharge to 130% to guarantee smooth rotations. Thirdly, we shall adjust the total number of substats to 40 rolls. Now we're ready to solve for Navia 3E in a Noelle Taser Mop team. All we have to do is press the distribute button. Just by pressing this button, Genshin Optimizer has optimized our Navia's theoretically best stats for 3E gunbrella at Constellation 0. We've just saved all the time that would otherwise go into inputting complex damage formulas into Excel, painstakingly checking each value, an effort which could otherwise take hours when done manually. But with the KQMS solver, this can be done in just a few minutes. Now let's look at the stats that the optimizer has calculated for us. Our Navia has 66 crit rate, 203 crit damage, and 3200 attack. The 3 gunbrellas deal an average of 385,000 damage, but we're also able to look at what happens if all 3 shots crit. Such considerations would be important for a speedrunner, dedicated tournament players who are willing to reset the spiral abyss many times to get the absolute fastest performance. After going into the multi-optimization tab, let's change from average damage to crit damage. Wow, the damage is almost 500,000. Now I will change it back and copy Genshin Optimizer's findings for C0. Now let's do something more fun with the data. We'll keep increasing the constellations on Navia and see how much more powerful she becomes. Calculations such as these are helpful for building guides, giving recommendations, and budgeting your primo gems. After all, each constellation is expensive, so we want to know if they're worth the price we pay for them. Navia's Constellation 1 reduces her energy needs, so we're able to reduce her energy requirements to back to the baseline. KQMS standards dictate that she'll always have 2 energy rolls fixed, so Navia cannot go below 110% energy recharge. Now let's solve for Constellation 1, and once again, all we need to do is set the substats and click this distribute button. From Constellation 2 onwards, Navia gains increased damage on her gunbrellas, but her stats distribution doesn't change, so we don't have to repress the distribute button. Note that in our multi-target config we did not input her burst or her normal attacks, as I wanted to keep this video short and sweet, just like Navia's macarons. Navia's burst would otherwise deal 17 cannonballs, which are all affected by different levels of Furina's fanfare, and she does 4 normal attacks in this rotation, so let's not get lost in the details and just focus on her 3 gunbrellas. After all, they deal the majority of her damage. For Constellation 2 till Constellation 6, I will just activate them one by one and save it in my Excel sheet. Actually, right now Constellation 2 overcaps Navia's crit rate by going above 100%. Let's work around this by removing one substat from Genshin Optimizer, pressing distribute again, and take the new 3E gunbrella stats. As you can see, I was right, and we've gained 6,000 damage after this little fix. It seems like Genshin Optimizer isn't correctly evaluating Navia's Constellation 6. It's not showing any damage increase at all. Why would this be? Well, it comes back down to the optimizer's inability to set custom values in the multi-target optimization tab. We worked around this by giving Navia a baseline of 3, then adding additional geo damage bonus for each stack she consumed beyond 3, but since those are workarounds, and not recognized as real crystal shrapnel stacks, they don't count towards Navia's Constellation 6. So let's reread this constellation again and see what it does. For each shrapnel consumed beyond 3, Navia gets 45% additional crit damage. We will have to add this ourselves. Not too difficult, but I'm sure the process will be much smoother once the Genshin Optimizer developers fully develop this feature. Anyway, let's get our values for Navia's Constellation 6, and then our work is done for today. So now we have all the numbers for Navia, all the way from Constellation 0 to Constellation 6. We can see right here that the biggest jumps come from Constellation 6 and Constellation 2, so these are the most valuable Navia cons if you can afford them. These are calculations we've achieved very quickly by using the new substat solver from Genshin Optimizer. Without such a tool, it could take a long time to get such data. I also have with me the detailed master sheet from Navia Main's Discord, that provides such constellation data. Note that these values are based around a different team, not our Noelle one, so the values they gain from constellations would be different. We're calculating constellations based on my favorite team of Noelle, Navia, Farina and Fischl. Whereas Navia Mains is playing its standard with a different team, comprised of Zhongli, Bennett, Fischl and Navia. So here's another advantage I can see from the Genshin Substat Optimizer. Instead of relying on guide advice for generic teams that we aren't actually using, the Genshin Optimizer will theorycraft for the exact team that we use, and provide recommendations for our specific situation. As there are many teams in the game, and even more ways to build these teams, I can see the power of such a detailed and customizable tool. I would rate this a 10 out of 10 and I hope it gets released to the live website soon.